Hey folks, and welcome to Truck King. Over the last 2 years, we've had a redesign of every single top tier midsize off-roader on the market. I'm talking about the updated Jeep Gladiator, the new TRD Pro and Trail Hunter Tacomas from Toyota, the new Chevy Colorado ZR2 Bison, and then of course this, the new to North America Ford Ranger Raptor, and that means the competition is fierce. So in this video, we're going to take this truck off-road, sink it in the mud, and find out if Ford does reign supreme in the midsize off-road segment. Let's jump into it right now. Let's start with one area where the Ranger Raptor does reign supreme. That is with the power plant. So this is a 3-liter turbocharged V6. It's making 405 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque sent through a 10-speed automatic, making it the most powerful option in the midsize segment. And of all these brands, I feel like Ford, they're always the company to say, you know what, our top tier off-road truck, it should get its own power plant. So it is nice to have that here in the Ranger Raptor. Now, talking about modifications, there's a bunch done here for off-roading. You have locking differentials in the front and in the rear, which is nice. You have all of those drive modes, of course, and then you have a fully updated suspension on the Ranger Raptor. It uses Fox 2.5-inch live valve shocks, so that is an active suspension system. So yes, this thing really does get a big upgrade over a stock Ranger. And then of course, wheels and tires. That is a set of BFG All-Terrain KO3s, so that's the brand new all-terrain from BFG, measuring in just a little bit over 33 inches. So yeah, a lot has been done to this truck to make sure it can go out there in the mud. Before we do though, why don't we take a look underneath to see what the skid plates look like. Let's take a closer look now underneath the Ranger Raptor. First of all, your tow hooks way up here, just under the bumper, actually kind of integrated into it, so really easy to get to. And then another thing I want to point out, look at this lip on this skid plate. It actually kind of goes up and closes off. A lot of manufacturers just leave that lip down here lower, and that means it ends up scooping mud, dirt, snow up into there. I really love this closed off skid plate, so really great front skid plate. And that skid plate is steel, because my magnet sticks to it. So you're getting a nice steel skid plate up front. Move back to our next skid plate, also steel. So Ford takes this skid plate package pretty seriously. And then right over here, you can take a look at your Fox 2.5-inch live valve shocks. Not only do they look cool, but this is the only set of active shocks in the midsize off-road segment. So it'll be great to feel those in a little bit. Roll back even further, a huge transfer case skid plate that's actually bolted here to the cross member. I like to see that rather than some brands that put the transfer case skid plate right on the T-case. In this case, this is actually going to take the weight independently of the transfer case, and that is steel as well. So love that skid plate. We get to the next one, fuel tank. This is the one place where it's not metal. That is a plastic skid plate. That is super common these days, though, that on the fuel tank you see plastic or some kind of composite plastic. And then at the very back, we do have a spare tire up there. This is a Watts Link trailing arm suspension setup, so a little different than what you see on other trucks. And you're getting those massive Fox shocks and remote reservoirs in your rear end as well. Here come the off-road numbers on this Ranger Raptor. So minimum running ground clearance is 10.7 inches. The approach angle here, 33 degrees. Departure angle comes in at 26.4 degrees, while the breakover angle is at 24.2 degrees. And now we're out in the mud, folks. To really see how good this Ranger Raptor is, we're up the Hydroline Trail right now. So far, I've just been running in 4 high normal mode. So basically none of the off-road tricks are turned on here. And it feels really good. I think the first thing you notice on this truck is the suspension. Even through this slow speed stuff, just how well controlled you are inside this cab, how much the suspension is working underneath me. I can feel that, but then the truck just stays nice and flat. So yes, definitely feel how good the suspension is. And then clearance as well. I've been belly dragging here and there, but compared to some other trucks, yeah, this thing's been clearing. Although right there I just dragged for sure. And then tires. So far the KO3s feel really confident. Let's drop them into the deep section here. Let's see if that changes. Alrighty, we'll give the truck one advantage. Now it's over into off-road mode. And that also means that the rear locker comes on automatically. So let's run it through here in off-road mode. And yeah, the power is crazy. I can't help but just pick up the speeds even in the water here because the power is just so ridiculous. And then the grip is so good. Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, grip was awesome from the tires, no issue. And through that section I usually like to creep through, but in this truck, just naturally, because the power's just so good and so readily available, and because the suspension is so good, I just felt like I wanted to keep speeding up. So yeah, that was quite impressive there, Ranger Raptor, and a bunch of fun. Coming back down the hill now, folks, I'm using trail control. So Ford's off-road cruise control system. I have it set at 3 kilometers per hour. Oh, it ran away on me for a second there, got up to 5. And now it's bringing me back down. There was 4. So yeah, it seems like on a steep hill, it does have a tendency to overspeed just a hair and then really slow you back down. But there, I just put it down to 2 kilometers an hour, and you can see how smoothly it's holding me down this hill. And then actually through the water, let's go all trail control. So using the cruise control buttons, I just go up, up, up. So there's 4. That's 6 kilometers an hour now. And this is all the Ford driving. I'm not driving whatsoever. Well, my hands, but not my feet. No gas, no brakes. Let's even go up to 7 kilometers an hour. It's 4 miles per hour. And it's good. What I always notice about pretty much all these systems, but right now here in the Ford, is that it seems as though the moment they encounter some resistance, the revs go up, but they go up just enough for the truck to get over whatever that obstacle is, and that just lends itself to this really smooth feeling. You know, a novice off-road driver a lot of times will encounter an obstacle or resistance and then sort of over rev and then really get a power up, and that's almost what I expected some of these systems to do, but it really doesn't. It seems like it applies just enough throttle to overcome whatever is in your way, and then you get over it and get through. So yeah, not only does the system take some thought out of the process, but it works quite well and intuitively too. So that's good for Hydroline. Let's go to the left hook. All right, folks, more mud now. We're on the back side of our left hook trail, and we're gonna go down our brand new trail called Uppercut. And once again, I usually creep through these trails. This truck just inherently makes me want to take them faster because the suspension is so good, the power's right there, and look at it just eat this mud for lunch. Oh, bit of slip right there. Bit of mud flying, but no problem. Up this rocky hill, no problem again. Yeah, Ranger Raptor's making short work of this, man. Nice. Continuing on now, let me start talking through how I think this truck stacks up to the Gladiator Rubicon, the Colorado ZR2 Bison, and the new TRD Pro. And we've had all of those trucks out here on our trails within the last year. And I'll tell you, the first area that I think the Ford really stands out is in suspension. And that isn't to say that it's way better than the other trucks or way softer, but what it is active. So off-road, you get the softness that you want for eating up obstacles. And then on-road, if you want to really firm it up and put it in sport mode, yeah, this thing actually handles okay too. The passive setup in all the other trucks means that they almost have to be tailored for off-roading even when they're on road, and you just don't get that much of a change from one situation to another. Now, especially in the Chevy's case, those are position-sensitive dampers, so it's a passive system that's meant to replicate what this system is doing. But yeah, I just don't think you can beat an active damper setup in terms of tailoring itself better to different situations. So in that way, the Ranger Raptor does stand alone next to its competition. Now we're creeping into the real swampy section. Always a great test for tires. Now we do have this big monster rock here in the middle of the trail. I'm going to try to go right over it. Let's see how the clearance is. Yeah, so far so good. I'm going to clear it. Nice. And now into the real sticky mud. Let's see what it does. Oh, spinning now, spinning now. There's one section there that's really soft. But you know what? The KO3s, they did a nice job, man. And my one take on the KO3s, and this is what I've heard as well from other people and from BFG, is that they got a bit softer in this generation in terms of the rubber compound. And of course, I'm not aired down right now. I could be, but I feel like in stuff like mud, if the tire is going to be a little bit softer, it'll probably do a better job. And yeah, right there, it got me right through. No problem. Minimal slip. Okay, the next up here, we have this really tight squeeze. Now this is, of course, a mid-sizer, so it does actually feel pretty right-sized out here, which I like. And then you can see I'm also using my camera setup to make sure I know where my corners are. But you know what? I actually took it a bit too wide. I got a 3-point. I think it would have made it. I think I just, yeah, I was being a little too careful on how wide I took it. But there you go. I do like having the cameras and those predictive guidelines. Oh, bit of slip coming through there too. That's when slippage gets really sketchy, when it's happening in a tight spot. But nice, and yeah, like I was saying, I like the camera setup. I do like those predictive guidelines. Really does give you a good sense for where the vehicle's going to be. And then you can see I have a bunch of different views here too I can get to. So there's your main top down. I do like that. And then yeah, you can even zoom in on each one of these corners. So if you really want to watch, in this case actually, I want to watch my front driver's side. So let's keep an eye on that as I creep through here. And you can see that even that little image gets the predictive guideline. So a really good camera system. Now, I will say Chevy and Toyota have great camera systems, and both of them now have underbody cameras. Now, granted, in Toyota's case, it's not a live view under the vehicle. They take an image of the road in front of you and then superimpose it under the vehicle. The Chevy actually has a camera. GM stuck cameras underneath their trucks, and I really like those underbody cameras on the Canyon in Colorado. So camera systems overall really good here in the Ranger Raptor, but I do think those underbody views sort of set the Toyota and the Chevy apart. But there you go, this Ranger Raptor, just 8-hour trails for lunch, no issue whatsoever. But this would not be a complete Ranger Raptor review unless we go do some high-speed off-roading, because this thing was born in the desert. In this case, the deserts of Australia more than the deserts of North America. And that just means that we need to now go take it to the closest thing we can get to a desert, which is a rutted-out old dirt road, and run this thing at high speeds and see how the suspension handles when the speeds pick up. Let's do it. And now the real fun begins, folks. First step for high-speed off-roading here, we go to Baja mode, off-road use only, and that also sets our exhaust into Baja mode, because yes, this truck does have active exhaust baffles, so you can make it quieter and louder too, and that's another thing that makes it kind of unique here in the mid-size off-road segment. And yeah, let's see how this thing flies. Now Our potholey road is full of water today, so it's also a big time splash road. So you got to get those wipers going. Here we go. Oh my gosh, the power feels so good. Right off the bat, this thing just feels so quick. That's 45, that's 50. And there goes the mic. Okay, mic recovered. Let's hit this road again. And yeah, the other thing I'm gonna say, this might seem obvious too, but the power here is so good feeling and really makes this thing stand out from the rest of the mid-size pack. The power just feels incredible. Baja mode keeps this thing spooled up. And I just, that was 60 kilometers an hour right there at the end. And the truck still doesn't feel like it's getting all that upset. It just feels solid coming through those whoops, hitting that water at speed. Nothing phases it. The suspension just swallows everything up. This is the kind of truck where even on this road right here, I really don't feel like I've hit the limit of the truck whatsoever. I feel like it can do so much more. Not to mention the fact that while it's doing that, the handling feels really confident in my hands. I know exactly where the truck is. The on-center steering feel is solid, which is what you want it to be when you're running at high speeds. So yeah, when the speeds pick up, this Ranger Raptor is incredible. And I'd say that's also where it stands out from the pack. I did this exact same road in that Jeep, in a Colorado, and in that new TRD Pro. And those trucks all felt good. But again, I did feel like, yeah, I can sort of approach the limit of this truck. This Raptor truly feels like the limits are just so high that I'm still not even scratching the surface. So yeah, the high-speed desert-style off-roading here is incredible. So much fun, too, that I gotta go do it again. Well, folks, our day off-road with this Ranger Raptor is coming to an end. Now, does this truck really stand head and shoulders above the rest of the pack when it comes to going off-road? I would say no. If they're hitting the exact same obstacles, this truck or a TRD Pro or a ZR2, they're all going to do them basically the same. No, after a day off-road in the Ranger Raptor, I think my big takeaway is in this mid-size off-road segment, especially at the top end, this truck feels the most special. Once you get the Raptor package on the Ranger, it just doesn't feel like a standard Ranger at all anymore. Now, of course, that's the suspension, but mostly that's the powertrain. Ford knows that if you're going for that special off-road truck, you want special off-road power, and it is absolutely here. Combine that with the way this thing sounds, how comfortable the seats are, and then just the way it looks. And yes, I will firmly stand by the fact that in this segment, this is the most special package, the package that makes the truck feel the least like a stock pickup truck. And if I was laying down my money today for a mid-size off-road truck, I would have to go with the Ranger Raptor. Now, of course, folks, I need to hear from you. Drop down in the comments. Let me know what you think about this truck, all the trucks I talked about, and everything you saw in this video, because I want to hear your thoughts. As always, while you're down there below, don't forget to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit join to become a member of Truck King, and then come right back here to the channel to see what we're testing next. See ya.